Great.
Hello, Patty. Thank you so much for joining me on the podcast today. It's a pleasure to have you on. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Very good, thank you. And I'm looking forward to chatting.
Yeah, me too. Thank you so much for reaching out.
So, I'm going to start where I do with all of my guests because I like hearing about people's stories and people's journeys. So, it's going to be the same with you today. I'm going to go back to when you were younger and ask you when did your love for music first begin, and when was it that you realized music was what you wanted to be involved in?
Hmm. Um, so I can't really put a finger on like when music kind of grabbed me. I've always felt kind of pulled in that direction, not necessarily as a career, but just wanting to like create and really loving singing. Like that's my real passion is I just love to sing. So tell me I can sing somewhere, put some people in the room, and I'm happy, for the most part. Um, let's see. I mean, I was singing when I was like 3. Like my mom will tell you, well, I had a different idea when I was 3. My mom will tell you that if you asked me when I was 3 what I wanted to be when I grow up, I would say I want to be a singer. Of course, at 3 years old, you don't really know what that entails. And
Yeah.
still to this day, my favorite part of the job is just getting on the stage and singing, just being on the microphone. There's so many other parts to the job that are not my favorite. But it just kind of come with the territory, and like that saying that they have, find something that you love to do and you'll never work a day in your life is complete bullshit. Because at the end of the day, what you do for work is work. It just is.
So there's always the highs and the lows.
Always. Yeah. But I've just always found joy in creating music and performing. Um, yeah.
Did you have any particular artists that you looked up to and were influenced by when you were singing when you were younger?
I feel that I was very influenced early on by country music,
Yeah.
um, 90s country females like Trisha Yearwood and Shania Twain and Jody Messina and just all those like top females in 90s country specifically. Like, I think that influenced me quite a bit in my younger years. It wasn't until like it wasn't until high school that I really started exploring other types of music. I was very into Dashboard Confessional for a while. Still am, by the way. Like some of those songs are still great. Your hair is everywhere. Like just I love it. And then I discovered, let's see, and then I discovered Death Cab for Cutie. Ben Gibbard as a lyricist, a storyteller, a painter of a picture with his words. He's amazing. And then Metric. Really love Emily Haynes. It's a female fronted group. And so yeah, it wasn't until like sophomore, junior year of high school when I really started to delve into other things. But yeah, and then I think it's like kind of the mixture of those worlds. And then what I do with Dwight, it's he comes from something totally different where he listened to like British rock groups. And so it's like The Cure and stuff. So it's like his
Yeah.
reference is totally different from mine. And I think what we do is kind of like
In the middle.
somewhere in the
Yeah.
middle, or like he presents me with something happy and I put like the saddest lyric on top of it. It's just like where these worlds collide sometimes. So I think it's what we end up coming out with.
Which I know you mentioned there is kind of like the British rock music. I can being from the UK myself, I can kind of guess which type of bands like the Cure, the Smiths, all that type of stuff.
Oh yeah, yeah, 100%.
So how did you end up meeting Dwight then, and when did you start to make music and form this band, The Wind and the Wave?
So I was in another band prior to The Wind and the Wave when I was in college. It was called The Soldier Thread, and we were together for I want to say like roughly 5 years. And during that time, we met Dwight, and he was to produce a record for us. And so my relationship with Dwight began in the studio creating music, and it kind of quickly became obvious that there was chemistry there. Like, it was just kind of easy. And at one point, and so he did produce a record for us, a couple, I think. And then a little while later, he had a break in his schedule. He's a real busy songwriter producer. He does that full time, and has an amazing studio in South Austin. And so he had a break in his schedule, and a songwriter friend of ours named Bob Schneider had been talking to him because Dwight wasn't super happy in his career, and Bob had told him, just do something for yourself, you know. And so Dwight ended up calling me and asking me if I wanted to come over and just write, just for fun. And in about a week's time, a little over a week, we ended up writing what became The Wind and the Waves' first album. And yeah, there was kind of nothing like that experience, just having such a symbiotic relationship with someone in that kind of creative space, and not having any outside expectations, like no manager, no audience, no booking, nothing, it's just him and I drinking whiskey and smoking some weed and seeing what happens. And The Wind and the Wave is what happened. So it was, it was a cool, just sort of very natural thing. And we're family now. Their family is my family and vice versa. He's the godfather of my child, and his wife, Tia Sarita, we're tight. So it's a lovely thing.
Sounds like you have built a really good relationship from all coming from music then, really.
Yeah, totally. I think that's not the only place where we have a lot in common, basically, And
of course, there's another thing with you and Dwight, of course, also with Kelly Jones from Stereophonics, Far From Saints, the new project you're involved with. So if I ask, how did you and Dwight come to be involved with Kelly then?
So toward the very beginning of me and Dwight's kind of touring career, we ended up opening for Stereophonics. I think we started in Toronto. We did a Canadian US tour opening for them. We had the same booking agent, or they were at the same company or something. And so, no, we had the same booking agent. Yeah, that's how that kind of came to be, I think. That was a long time ago. That was 7, 8, 9 years ago. I can't remember what year it was now. Anyway, we kind of just kept in touch a little. And then we came over and did a European tour with them. And that was, amazing, I had kind of just first started to dip my toes in touring full time, basically. And so that was a really cool experience. And then we just kind of did the same, kind of kept in touch over the years, here and there, an email every year or a couple years or whatever. Hey, how you doing? And it's something funny. Kelly said his phone, when he would get in his car and connect his phone, this thing would happen every time where one of our songs, I think it was Every Other Sunday Morning, I could be wrong, but this one song, every time he connected to his car, it would just start playing that song.
I have that issue as well with a Prince song. Yeah,
it's happened to me as well. Mine was
yeah.
mine was a Father John Misty song, but yeah. So that was happening to him, and I think now he feels like it was kind of serendipitous in a way, like it was kind of meant to be. So he reached out and asked us to do his solo tour. So we opened the solo tour for him, and did a couple Stereophonics festival gigs in there as well, and couple legs of that tour. And then on that tour, he would always watch us side stage.
That's nice.
And we would watch them side stage too. Stereophonics are amazing and so humble and just incredibly talented. So yeah, we'd watch each other, and we were kind of just fans of each other. And then one night, I think it was after the first night he was side stage, we came off, and he said, right, well, we should do something together. And we were like, yeah, fuck it, let's do something together. yeah, and then we started writing backstage on that tour and sharing things via like voice memos on our phones and emailing late at night, like, oh, I had this lyric idea for this, part. I would write something. Dwight would present me with an idea, maybe I would write a verse, I would send it over to him, and he would send over the second verse like 6 minutes later. It was ridiculous. Like he's a very
very talented.
Not think about it very much, just put it down on paper, just blah, just like get it out before you start thinking about it too much, and it just works for him. So I'm over here like laboring over the words and crafting things, and he's just like blah, and it's amazing. Yeah, that's how our first record came to be. And then at the end of that tour, we had gone into the studio for 9 days and we recorded the entire album in 9 days. We had musician friends in Nashville that we knew we wanted to get their input on, like steel guitar and things like that. So we would finish up. We were in Bath. We were at a studio in Bath that by the way doesn't exist anymore. They've torn it down, but it was a beautiful, amazing place on a hill with just rolling hills and castles. You guys have rolling hills and castles like it's no big deal. It was like so picturesque and amazing. And we recorded the album there in 9 days, and we would finish up our day, send the song to our friends in Nashville. And because of the time difference, and they had time in their schedule in their evening, and they would put their parts down. And by the time we got to the studio in the morning, we had this like amazing, other thing that we could comp together and just kind of keep rolling. And it made the process really smooth and quick. And yeah, it was cool. It was, I would say, kind of again, one of those experiences a bit where you're just kind of in a state of flow and not thinking about an audience really, or at least I wasn't really thinking about an audience or management or like any of the weird outside expectations that can kind of like not be great for the creative process, but like none of that stuff was on my mind, and it was just natural and fun and easy, and yeah, it was good.
That's fantastic. So that's kind of where the band was born, really, from like just being on tour with Stereophonics, and then Kelly saying, let's do something, and then kind of exchanging emails and laying down lyrics.
Yeah. It came together, really almost effortlessly. And it's such a nice thing when that happens.
Yeah, just very smoothly.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously things have really started to take off for the band this year. Of course, Stereophonics did a massive tour last year, and then it looks like Kelly kind of had this year to really focus on the Far From Saints project, and you've played a few gigs. One at the Oslo Hackney, if I'm right, down in London back in March, and then one for an important cause, which was Teenage Cancer Trust. How did it feel playing live with Far From Saints for the first few times, and all them songs that you put hard work into, finally getting a play live?
Yeah, it was awesome. So, I mean, we made that record. That was 4 years ago. That was like,
So before COVID.
that was just before. I mean, we left the tour we were on with them like three shows
Oh,
earlier, or something.
I remember that tour was one of the final kind of big events before
Yeah.
we all got locked down, really.
Yes.
And that
Yeah.
was it for 3 years.
Yeah, it was weird. It was a weird time. So we left 3 shows early just because things were getting weird. And, our significant others at home were like, hey, you probably need to come home. Like, and so that was a really weird time. And that was a long time ago. And so much has changed since then. So yeah, we've been waiting for a long time to kind of do something, anything, share it in some way, shape, form. So like, yes, getting to share these songs has been great. And, I don't think we'll know until after the record comes out what people feel about it overall. I hope people like it, but at the end of the day, I made it for me. I'm so glad that I made it, and I'm really proud of it. But yeah, it would be really nice if people also liked it and we got to play it live and share it with a wider audience. I think that would be really awesome. The first time we played together in Oslo, Hackney, it was like we were all very nervous. Like it was interesting. It's interesting to see Kelly nervous, right? Because he's so just confident and secure seemingly in everything that he does with Stereophonics, but this was definitely outside he's never done this before. He's never co-written or collaborated really with anyone. And so it's a new experience for him. And the first show was definitely like all of us kind of just getting the jitters out. And it was really fun because it was just like this small room. And then the second show, the very next night, was Royal Albert Hall.
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't get much different, than those two. So glad we did the warm-up show the night before. Felt amazing at Albert Hall. Like if I could just play, I don't even care how many people you put in the room, but like that's the venue I want to play in all the time. So
Iconic London venue.
love it. I love it.
Yeah.
A theater is my absolute favorite.
And
yeah.
I've certainly enjoyed a few. I've certainly enjoyed the two singles I've heard so far, but both of them have kind of a different sound. Obviously, Let's Turn This Back Around compared to Take It Through the Night, I kind of have a bit of a different sound. And obviously, the album's out in June, Far From Saints. But could you tell me a little bit about what's to come on that album and what it might sound like compared to we've heard so far?
Yeah. I feel like you're gonna kind of get transported a bit back to like the 70s or something, like or late 60s. Like it's kind of classic rock in a way. There's a lot of dynamic on the record, big moments as you've already heard, and also some really quiet, reserved moments too. Kelly and I recorded our vocals live together with like a clear partition between us. So like that was a new experience for me too, recording with someone with such an iconic voice, right? And neither of us have done that. We've always harmonized with ourselves, like with our own voices, but we've never harmonized with other people. So that was cool too. I've never done that before. Him trying to match me trying to match him, singing at the same time. I think you'll get a lot of intimacy and just kind of honesty, and it's fun. I love the record. It's fun, and it's I don't know. I'm most curious to see how other people react to it, because what it is to me might be completely different, something different to you.
I'm sure people will love it. And before we go, Patty, because obviously I know you're on a time here, but of course to coincide with the album, you're playing quite a few shows. Of course, I think there's another one at Oslo Hackney, there's one in Leeds, and then supporting the Kings of Leon at Wrexham's football ground, which should be a good one for you because as a football fan, I know Wrexham have been getting a lot of attention recently after Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney took over and the recent promotion. So that should be a good one. But do you want to explain a little bit about what's coming up over the summer for Far From Saints? Glastonbury as well, that will be a very exciting one.
Yeah, that's kind of mind-blowing that I'm going to be playing at Glastonbury this year. Well, the very first thing we're doing when we come over just later this week is we're going to have a couple rehearsals, and then we're going to record for Jules Holland, which is really, really cool. I've never done late night television.
Really good.
Yeah, so I'm excited for that and also nervous. I think the two go hand in hand. Yeah, so that's the first thing we're doing. I'm definitely very excited about Kings of Leon, and yeah, Wrexham feels like a Ted Lasso sort of a situation.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I love it. Let me see, what else do we got on the books? I can never remember. I'm like a slave to my phone and my calendar. Yes, Glasgow, Leeds, and then the two Kings of Leon shows. And then we're doing a show at London Earth Theatre in Hackney.
Oh, that's the one in London, yeah.
That was actually the first one we announced. Like this was going to be like our debut, and then other things started popping up, and we were like, oh, we'll just do these other things too. And then so that was the first confirmed announced show that we'll do on June 5th. And then we're supporting Paul Weller at Westonbirt Arboretum and Cannock Chase Forest. Am I saying that right?
I think so, yeah.
Hertfordshire. Yeah. And then we have like a couple festivals. Let me see. Black Deer Festival we're doing on June 16th, I think. And that's actually when our record comes out. So that's right around the corner. Thetford Forest again with Paul Weller. And then Eden Project, June 24th.
Oh, down in Cornwall, yeah.
Yeah. I don't even know if we've announced that one yet. So you're not allowed to say anything. No, I'm just kidding. And then
Exclusive.
yeah, and then Glastonbury the next day. So yeah, I'm excited. I'm hoping I'm hoping that we'll go on a headlining tour in the fall. That's kind of what we'd
That
all
would
like
be, yeah.
for. Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm sure you will have a great summer, and I want to wish you the best for the shows, and I can't wait to hear that album myself.
Yeah, thank you so much. Maybe I can get you a copy. Let me get the team on it.
I'd love that. I've got a radio show as well, so I'll be sure to play a few of the songs on my show when the album comes out. I've already been playing a few of the singles recently.
Oh, thank you so much. That's awesome.
But and I know you're on a time again, so Patty, I'd just like to thank you so much for coming on today, and it's been a pleasure to chat.
Yeah, same. Thank you again for reaching out, and I hope that you like the record, and I hope to see you at a show soon.